The betrayal unveiled. The gleaming spires of New Geneva stretched towards the stars, a testament to humanity's progress since joining the Galactic Council. Ambassador Elena Seto stood at the panoramic window of her office, her reflection ghostly against the backdrop of the alien cityscape. The notification chime of her neural implant broke the silence, signaling an urgent message from her informant within the Council. As she accessed the encrypted data packet, Elena's blood ran cold. The Galactic Council, the very institution humanity had trusted for decades, was planning to betray Earth. In secret meetings, they had agreed to surrender human-controlled territories to the advancing Zorgan Empire in exchange for their own safety. Computer, verify data authenticity. Elena commanded, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her mind. Data verified with 99.8% certainty, the AI responded. Elena's hands clenched into fists. She had mere hours to warn Earth before the Council enacted their plan. As she turned to leave, the door to her office slid open, revealing Xandor, her Arcturian aide. Ambassador, the Council requests your presence for an emergency session, Xandor announced, his bioluminescent skin pulsing with anxiety. Elena nodded, her mind racing. Thank you, Xandor. I'll be there shortly. As soon as the aide left, Elena activated her secure line to Earth's Defense Command. This is Ambassador Seto. Authorization code, Theta 97 Echo. We have a code black situation. The Galactic Council is compromised. Prepare for immediate evacuation of all off-world personnel and initiate Protocol Hammerfall. The response was immediate. Understood, Ambassador. Stay safe. Earth stands ready. Elena took a deep breath, straightened her uniform, and headed for the Council chambers. As she walked, she noticed increased security presence, alien species huddled in whispered conversations, and an undercurrent of tension permeating the air. The grand doors of the Council chamber loomed before her. Elena steeled herself and entered. The circular room was filled with representatives from dozens of alien races, their varied physiologies a testament to the diversity of galactic life. At the center, the imposing figure of High Counselor Jarkax stood, his forearms gesticulating as he addressed the assembly. And so, in the interest of galactic peace and stability, we have reached an accord with the Zorgan Empire. Jarkax's resonant voice echoed through the chamber. Certain concessions must be made for the greater good. Elena's eyes narrowed as she took her seat. The euphemisms couldn't disguise the truth. They were selling out humanity to save themselves. As Jarkax continued outlining the peace agreement, Elena's neural implant vibrated with an incoming message. It was from Captain Alexander Volkov of the Earth Defense Force. Evacuation proceeding. Fleet mobilizing. Awaiting your extraction signal. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Earth wouldn't go down without a fight. The High Counselor's voice brought her attention back to the present. And now we call upon the representative of Earth to ratify this agreement on behalf of humanity. All eyes turned to Elena. She stood, her heart pounding, but her resolve unshakable. High Counselor, esteemed members of the Galactic Council, I stand before you today not to ratify an agreement, but to condemn an act of treachery. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the assembly. Jarkax's upper arms twitched in agitation. Ambassador Seto, I advise you to choose your next words carefully. Elena's voice rang out, clear and defiant. I have evidence of the Council's secret dealings with the Zorgan Empire. You plan to sacrifice Earth and its colonies to save yourselves. This is not peace. This is cowardice and betrayal. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Some representatives shouted denials, others demanded to see the evidence. Through the commotion, Elena noticed security forces moving to block the exits. Jarkax's voice boomed over the din. Ambassador Seto, you are making baseless accusations. Guards, detain her. Elena tapped her neural implant, sending the extraction signal. In that instant, the lights in the chamber flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Emergency lighting cast an eerie glow as confusion reigned. Using the distraction, Elena vaulted over her console and sprinted for the private elevator reserved for council members. Behind her, she could hear Jarkax bellowing orders and the heavy footfalls of security forces in pursuit. The elevator doors slid open just as Elena reached them. She threw herself inside, jabbing the button for the landing pad. As the doors closed, she caught a glimpse of alien faces contorted with rage and fear. Her neural implant chimed again. "Ambassador, this is Captain Volkov. We're on approach to your position. ETA 2 minutes." "Understood, Captain. I'm heading for the roof." The elevator shot upwards, and Elena used the moment to catch her breath. She accessed her implant, initiating the data purge protocol. If she were captured, the Galactic Council would find no trace of Earth's secrets in her mind. The elevator doors opened to reveal the wind-swept landing pad. Elena rushed out, scanning the sky for her extraction team. In the distance, she could see the sleek form of an Earth Defense Force shuttle breaking through the cloud cover. But she wasn't alone on the roof. A squad of Council security forces emerged from a second elevator, weapons trained on her. "Surrender, Ambassador." The lead guard, a hulking Cronin, growled. "There's nowhere left to run." Elena raised her hand slowly, buying time. "You're on the wrong side of history," she said, her voice carrying over the wind. "Earth won't forget this betrayal." The whine of engines grew louder as the Earth shuttle swooped in, hovering just off the edge of the landing pad. Its side hatch opened, revealing Captain Volkov and a team of Marines in full combat gear. "Ambassador, jump," Volkov shouted. Without hesitation, Elena turned and sprinted for the edge of the roof. Energy bolts from the guards' weapons sizzled past her as she leaped into open air. For a heart-stopping moment, she was in freefall, the glittering expanse of New Geneva spread out below her. Then strong hands grasped her arms, pulling her into the shuttle. As the hatch sealed shut, Elena caught a final glimpse of the Galactic Council's gleaming towers receding into the distance. "Are you all right, Ambassador?" Volkov asked, concern etched on his face. Elena nodded, catching her breath. "I'm fine, Captain. But Earth won't be unless we act fast. Set course for home. We have a war to prepare for." As the shuttle accelerated towards the upper atmosphere, Elena felt a mix of dread and determination. The Galactic Council's betrayal had shattered decades of trust, but it had also awakened a fierce resolve. Humanity would stand alone against the Zorgan threat, but they would stand unbowed. Little did the Council know, their treachery would be the catalyst for humanity's ascension to a galactic power. The coming conflict would reveal the true strength of the human spirit, and the stars themselves would bear witness to their defiance. The battle for Earth's future had begun. Earth's defiant preparation. The holographic display in the United Earth Defense Council chamber flickered to life, revealing a three-dimensional map of known space. Red markers indicated the advancing Zorgan fleet, while blue dots represented Earth's hastily assembled defense forces. The room fell silent as Admiral Yuki Tanaka stepped forward, her weathered face etched with determination. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady and resolute, "what you see before you is the greatest threat humanity has ever faced. The Zorgan Empire, emboldened by the Galactic Council's betrayal, is moving to claim Earth and our colonies, but they will find no easy conquest here." Ambassador Elena Sato, still wearing the dust of New Geneva on her uniform, stood beside the Admiral. "Our evacuation of off-world personnel is nearly complete. Earth stands united, but alone against this threat." A murmur rippled through the assembled leaders. General Obasi Okafor, commander of the African Union's Space Forces, spoke up. "What of our allies among the alien races? Surely not all of them support this betrayal." Elena shook her head. "A few have expressed sympathy, but fear of Zorgan reprisal keeps them silent. We can expect no help from that quarter." "Then we will help ourselves," declared Dr. Mei Chen, head of Earth's Advanced Research Division. She tapped her datapad, and new images appeared on the holographic display. Over the past decade, we've been reverse engineering alien technology obtained through trade and other means. We now stand on the brink of several breakthroughs that could turn the tide of this war. The display showed schematics for advanced shield generators, faster-than-light drive improvements, and weaponry that could rival anything in the known galaxy. Admiral Tanaka nodded approvingly. Excellent work, Dr. Chen. How soon can we implement these advancements? With a global effort, we can have our fleet upgraded within 3 months. But the Zorgans will be at our doorstep in 4. The room erupted in concerned chatter, but a sharp whistle cut through the noise. All eyes turned to Captain Jack Harper, a grizzled veteran of the Mars Uprising. As he stood, "Then we buy time. Hit-and-run tactics. Guerrilla warfare in space. We've got outposts and hidden bases throughout the solar system. We use them, bleed the Zorgans, slow them down until we're ready to hit back hard." Admiral Tanaka considered this, then nodded. "Agreed. Captain Harper, you'll lead our delaying actions. General Okafor, coordinate with the other regional commands. I want every ship, every weapon, every soldier ready for this fight. Dr. Chen, you have unlimited resources. Whatever you need to accelerate our technological advancements, you'll have." As the leaders dispersed to their tasks, Alina approached the Admiral. "What's my role in all this, Yuki? I'm a diplomat without a Galactic Council to negotiate with." Admiral Tanaka placed a hand on Alina's shoulder. "You're our ace in the hole, Alina. You know the aliens, their cultures, their weaknesses. We'll need that knowledge to survive this. Plus, there's another task I have in mind for you." Over the next weeks, Earth transformed. Cities became fortresses, orbital platforms bristled with weaponry, and shipyards worked around the clock to expand the fleet. The Moon, long a scientific outpost, was converted into a military stronghold, its hidden bases and advanced sensor arrays providing an early warning system for the inner solar system. In the asteroid belt, Captain Harper's guerrilla fleet played a deadly game of cat and mouse with Zorgan scout ships. Each skirmish provided valuable combat data, allowing Dr. Chen's team to refine their designs further. On Mars, the sprawling colonies that had chafed under Earth's rule now stood as humanity's second line of defense. General Okafor oversaw the installation of massive ion cannons in the Valles Marineris, while the extensive tunnel networks beneath Olympus Mons were repurposed into hardened command bunkers. But perhaps the most ambitious project was taking shape in the swirling clouds of Venus. There, shielded from prying eyes, a secret weapon was under construction, one that could change the course of the war. Ambassador Sato found herself at the heart of this project, working alongside a team of Earth's brightest minds and a handful of alien defectors who had chosen to stand with humanity. Together, they labored to unlock the secrets of an ancient technology, one that predated even the Galactic Council. As the deadline approached, tension mounted. The Zorgan fleet had been detected entering the Oort cloud, the outermost edge of the solar system. Humanity's moment of truth was fast approaching. In a final war council, Admiral Tanaka addressed the leaders of Earth. "The enemy is at our gates," she said, her voice firm. "They come expecting to find a primitive, divided species ripe for conquest. Instead, they will face a united human race, armed with determination, ingenuity, and a few surprises of our own." She turned to Captain Harper. "Jack, your guerrilla tactics have bought us precious time. Well done. Now bring your forces back to Mars. We'll need every ship for what's coming." Harper saluted, a fierce grin on his weathered face. "Aye, Admiral. We've left them a few nasty surprises in the belt. They'll be limping by the time they reach the Red Planet." "Good." Tanaka nodded, then turned to Dr. Chen. "May, status on our fleet upgrades." The scientist's eyes gleamed with pride. "Completed ahead of schedule, Admiral. Our ships now boast shields that can withstand sustained plasma bombardment, and our new quantum torpedoes can punch through Zorgan armor like tissue paper." "Excellent," Tanaka said, allowing herself a small smile. She then addressed Elena. "Ambassador, what's the status of Project Lazarus?" Elena stepped forward, her face a mix of excitement and apprehension. "We're ready for the final test, Admiral. If it works, we'll have a weapon the Zorgans can't possibly anticipate." "And if it doesn't?" General Okafor asked, voicing the concern on everyone's minds. Elena met his gaze steadily. "Then we fight with what we have, and make the Zorgans pay for every inch of our solar system." Admiral Tanaka nodded, her eyes scanning the determined faces around her. "Very well. We've prepared as best we can. Now we stand ready to face whatever comes. For Earth, for humanity, we will prevail." As the council adjourned, Elena found herself looking out at the blue marble of Earth, so fragile and yet so full of life and potential. The fate of her world, of her entire species, hung in the balance. But as she watched the bustle of activity, ships moving into defensive formations, orbital platforms charging their weapons, she felt a surge of pride. Humanity had been betrayed, cast aside by those they once called allies, but in the face of extinction, they had not cowered. They had risen, united, and prepared to fight with everything they had. The Zorgans, and indeed the entire galaxy, were about to learn a valuable lesson. Never underestimate the human spirit. For when pushed to the brink, humanity doesn't just fight, it evolves, adapts, and overcomes. As the first Zorgan ships appeared on long-range sensors, a tense quiet fell over the solar system. In command centers on Earth, Mars, and throughout the asteroid belt, humans stood ready, their resolve unshakable. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and with it, the dawn of a new era for humanity among the stars. The Zorgan assault begins. The void of space erupted in a dazzling display of destruction as the first wave of Zorgan ships entered the solar system. Captain Jack Harper, aboard his flagship, Defiant, watched from the bridge as his carefully laid traps in the Kuiper belt sprung to life. Cloaked mines detonated, their antimatter cores ripping apart the lead ships of the invasion fleet. "That'll slow them down," Harper grinned, his scared face illuminated by the distant explosions. "Comms, patch me through to Admiral Tanaka." The holographic image of Admiral Yuki Tanaka appeared on the bridge, her expression grim but determined. "Report, Captain." "First blood goes to us, Admiral," Harper replied. "We've taken out their vanguard, but the main fleet is pushing through. They'll reach Mars in about 6 hours at their current speed." Tanaka nodded. "Good work. Fall back to the Red Planet. It's time for Phase 2. As Harper's guerrilla fleet retreated to Mars, the full might of the Zorgan Armada came into view. Thousands of ships, from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts, filled the space where Pluto once orbited. At their center, a colossal vessel dwarfed all others, the Zorgan flagship, World Eater. On its bridge, Supreme Commander Vexlor watched the approaching Red Planet with cold reptilian eyes. "So the primitives have some fight in them after all," he hissed. "It matters not. We will crush their pitiful defenses and claim this system for the glory of the Zorgan Empire." His subordinate, Sub-Commander Zath, approached with a report. "Supreme Commander, our scouts report heavy fortifications on the Mars surface and a substantial fleet in orbit." Vexlor's scales rippled with amusement. "They think to stand against us. Launch the first attack wave. Let us test their mettle." As the Zorgan fleet approached Mars, they were met with a sight that gave even the battle-hardened aliens pause. The Red Planet bristled with defenses, its orbit filled with Earth ships of varying sizes and configurations. But it was the massive ion cannons protruding from the Valles Marineris that drew their attention. General Obasi Okafor stood in the control room deep within Olympus Mons, watching as the enemy closed in. "All batteries, prepare to fire," he commanded, his voice steady. "Let's give these backstabbing blizzards a proper Martian welcome." The ion cannons hummed to life, their barrels glowing with barely contained energy. As the first wave of Zorgan ships came into range, Okafor gave the order. "Fire." Lances of blue-white energy erupted from the Martian surface, spearing through space. The Zorgon ships, caught off guard by the power and range of the weapons, were torn apart. Dozens of vessels disappeared in blinding flashes as the ion beams overwhelmed their shields and ruptured their hulls. In Earth orbit, Ambassador Elena Seto watched the battle unfold with a mixture of pride and anxiety. Beside her, Dr. Mai Chen monitored the performance of their new technologies. "The shield upgrades are holding," Chen reported, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. "And the quantum torpedoes are exceeding expectations. We're actually pushing them back." Elena nodded, but her eyes were fixed on a different display, one showing the progress of Project Lazarus. "How much longer?" she asked. "Another hour, maybe 2, Chen replied. "We're pushing the systems to their limits." On Mars, the battle raged. While the ion cannons kept the bulk of the Zorgon fleet at bay, swarms of fighters engaged in furious dogfights above the rusty Martian sands. Captain Harper's Defiant led a squadron of Earth's best pilots, weaving through the chaos with unmatched skill. "Watch your 6, Falcon 3, Harper barked into his comms as he dispatched a Zorgon fighter with a well-placed shot. "These bastards are quick, but they're predictable. Use it against them." Despite the initial success, the sheer numbers of the Zorgon force began to tell. For every ship they destroyed, 2 more took its place. Slowly but surely, they pushed closer to Mars. In his command bunker, General Okafor received grim news. "Sir, they've taken out 3 of our ion cannons. We can't maintain this level of defense much longer." Okafor's jaw clenched. "Activate the Phobos Gambit." Across the solar system, Admiral Tanaka watched the battle unfold. "It's time," she said, her voice carrying to every human ship and base. "All forces, initiate Operation Slingshot." In that moment, humanity revealed its true cunning. The Martian moon Phobos, long thought to be a natural satellite, split apart. From within its hollow core emerged a massive railgun, its barrel longer than some spacecraft. Before the Zorgons could react, it fired. A projectile the size of a small asteroid, accelerated to a fraction of light speed, tore through the heart of their fleet. Dozens of ships, including one of their dreadnoughts, were vaporized instantly. The Zorgon advance faltered, confusion reigning in their ranks. Supreme Commander Vexlor's enraged roar echoed through the World Eater. How have these primitives hidden such weapons?" Taking advantage of the chaos, the Earth fleet pressed its attack. Ships equipped with the new quantum torpedoes punched holes through Zorgon formations, while upgraded fighters danced through debris fields, picking off stragglers. But the Zorgons were not so easily defeated. Regrouping, they launched a massive counterattack. The space around Mars became a storm of energy weapons, missiles, and explosions. As the battle hung in the balance, a transmission reached every human commander. It was Elena Sato, her face set with determination. "All forces, this is Ambassador Sato. Project Lazarus is ready. Prepare for activation on my mark." In the skies above Venus, a massive structure hidden in the planet's thick clouds began to pulse with energy. It was an artifact of an ancient, long-lost civilization, one that had mastered the manipulation of gravity itself. "Mark." Elena's voice rang out. The device activated, sending out waves of gravitational distortion. Suddenly, Zorgon ships found themselves being pulled in multiple directions. Their formations shattered. Some collided with each other, while others were torn apart by the conflicting gravitational forces. In the confusion, the Earth fleet struck hard. Captain Harper led a daring assault on the Zorgon flagship itself, his ships darting through the chaos to launch a barrage of quantum torpedoes at the World Eater. Supreme Commander Vexlor watched in disbelief as his mighty vessel shuddered under the impact. "Impossible," he snarled. "Retreat. All ships, fall back and regroup." As the Zorgon fleet withdrew to the outer solar system, a cheer went up across human channels. They had done it. They had repelled the initial assault. But Admiral Tanaka's voice cut through the celebration, her tone cautious but proud. "Well done, all of you. But this is just the beginning. The Zorgans will be back, and they'll be looking for revenge. Stay alert, stay ready. For now, we've earned a moment to breathe, to honor our fallen, and to prepare for what comes next." As the adrenaline of battle faded, the true cost became clear. Wreckage from both sides littered the space around Mars. The red planet itself bore new scars from the conflict, but Earth and its colonies stood unbroken, their resolve stronger than ever. In the coming days, as repair crews worked tirelessly and new strategies were formed, one thing became abundantly clear. Humanity was no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting to show the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with. The Zorgans, and by extension the Galactic Council, had gravely underestimated the species they had so casually betrayed. Now they would face the consequences of awakening a sleeping giant. The war for Earth's future had only just begun, but already the tides of galactic power were shifting. Humanity, once dismissed as primitive, had revealed itself to be innovative, adaptable, and utterly indomitable. As the stars wheeled overhead, a new chapter in human history was being written, one that would echo across the cosmos for eons to come. Turning the tide. In the weeks following the Battle of Mars, an uneasy calm settled over the solar system. The Zorgan fleet had retreated to the outer reaches, nursing their wounds, and no doubt planning their next move. Humanity used this reprieve to fortify, rebuild, and push their technological advancements even further. Aboard the newly christened space station, humanity's hope, orbiting Earth's moon, Admiral Yuki Tanaka stood before a gathering of military leaders, scientists, and diplomats. The station, a marvel of human engineering and alien technology, served as the nerve center for Earth's defense. "Ladies and gentlemen," Tanaka began, her voice carrying the weight of command, "we've weathered the first storm, but the war is far from over. Dr. Chen, what have we learned about Zorgan technology from the debris we've collected?" Dr. Mei Chen stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Admiral, we've made a breakthrough. The Zorgans use a unique form of quantum entanglement in their communications and targeting systems. It's incredibly efficient, but it has one critical weakness." She tapped her datapad, and a holographic display sprang to life, showing complex equations and schematics. "If we can disrupt this entanglement, we can effectively blind and mute their entire fleet." A murmur of excitement rippled through the assembled leaders. Captain Jack Harper, his arm still in a sling from the previous battle, leaned forward. "That's all well and good, Doc, but how do we use this?" Ambassador Elena Sato, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. "We bait a trap. The Zorgans are prideful. They'll want revenge for their defeat at Mars. We use that against them." Admiral Tanaka nodded slowly, a plan forming in her mind. "We'll need a target valuable enough to draw them in, but one we can afford to risk." Ceres, General Obasi Okafor suggested. "It's strategically important, but not crucial like Mars or the Moon. We can evacuate the civilians and set up our trap there." Over the next few days, a daring plan took shape. Earth's forces would appear to withdraw from Ceres, leaving it seemingly vulnerable. In reality, they would be laying a complex web of stealth satellites and hidden weapons platforms throughout the dwarf planet's orbit. As preparations were underway, Elena found herself working closely with a small team of alien defectors who had chosen to side with humanity. Among them was Zix, a former Zorgan scientist who had become disillusioned with his empire's brutality. "The disruption device is ready," Zix announced, his scaled hands carefully adjusting a sleek metallic orb. "Once activated, it will create a cascading failure in their quantum network. But we'll only have one shot at this. The Zorgans will adapt quickly." Elena nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "Let's hope it's enough." Days turned to weeks, and finally, long-range sensors detected movement. The Zorgan fleet, nearly twice the size of their previous force, was advancing on Ceres. Admiral Tanaka's voice rang out across all human frequencies. "This is it, people. Operation Checkmate is a go. Remember your training, trust in each other, and let's show these aliens what happens when you back humanity into a corner. As the Zorgan Armada entered the Ceres system, they found exactly what they expected. A lightly defended dwarf planet, ripe for the taking. Supreme Commander Vexlor, his pride still stinging from the defeat at Mars, ordered an all-out assault. "Crush their defenses," he snarled. "I want that rock turned to dust beneath our—" His words were cut short as chaos erupted across the Zorgan fleet. Ships veered wildly off course, colliding with each other. Weapons fire went wide, missing targets by impossible margins. And through it all, a deafening silence filled their communication channels. In that moment of confusion, humanity struck. The hidden platforms around Ceres revealed themselves, unleashing a barrage of quantum torpedoes and gravity pulses. Earth ships, cloaked and waiting, suddenly appeared in the midst of the Zorgan formation, wreaking havoc. Captain Harper, leading the charge in his newly repaired Defiant, couldn't help but whoop with joy. Now this is more like it. All ships, engage at will. Let's send these lizards packing. The battle raged for hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. Without their advanced targeting and communications, the once mighty Zorgan fleet was reduced to a disorganized rabble. One by one, their ships fell to Earth's coordinated assault. On the bridge of the World Eater, Supreme Commander Vexlor watched in disbelief as his fleet crumbled around him. "Impossible," he hissed. "These primitives, how could they?" A quantum torpedo struck the flagship, shattering its weakened shields. As systems failed around him, Vexlor made a decision that would change the course of the war. "All ships," he croaked into the failing comm system. "Full retreat. Abandon the Sol system." As the remnants of the Zorgan fleet fled, leaving their leader's crippled ship behind, cheers erupted across Earth's forces. They had not just won a battle. They had shattered the myth of Zorgan invincibility. In the aftermath, as prisoners were taken and the World Eater was boarded, humanity made another startling discovery. The ship's databanks contained a wealth of information not just on the Zorgan Empire, but on the inner workings of the Galactic Council itself. Ambassador Sato, poring over the translated files with her team, felt a mix of anger and vindication. "It's all here," she breathed. "The Council's corruption, their secret deals, their manipulation of younger races. We can use this." Admiral Tanaka, joining her in the impromptu command center on Ceres, nodded grimly. "We're not just fighting for our survival anymore, Alina. We're fighting to change the entire balance of power in the galaxy." As news of the victory spread, something unprecedented began to happen. Ships from other alien races, those who had been oppressed or marginalized by the Council and the Zorgans, began to arrive in the Sol system. They came offering alliance, technology, and a chance to be part of something greater. Humanity, so recently on the brink of extinction, now found itself at the center of a growing coalition of species united against the old order. In a secure meeting room on Humanity's Hope, Earth's leaders gathered to discuss their next move. The holographic display showed not just their solar system, but the entire sector of the galaxy. "We have a choice to make," Admiral Tanaka said, her eyes scanning the faces around her. "Do we consolidate our gains, fortify our borders, and focus on rebuilding? Or do we take the fight to them?" Captain Harper, his eyes gleaming with the prospect of more action, leaned forward. "I say we strike while the iron's hot. The Zorgans are reeling, and the Council's probably in chaos. We'll never have a better chance." General Okafor nodded in agreement. "If we wait, we give them time to regroup, to come up with countermeasures to our technology. We need to press our advantage." Dr. Chen, ever the voice of caution, spoke up. "We should be careful not to overextend ourselves. We've made incredible advances, but we're still learning how to use much of this technology." All eyes turned to Ambassador Sato. She stood, her face resolute. "We didn't start this war, but we have a responsibility to finish it. Not just for ourselves, but for all the races who have suffered under the Council's corruption." and the Zorgans' brutality. I say we take the fight to them, but not as conquerors. We go as liberators, as the founders of a new just order in the galaxy." A moment of silence followed her words, then Admiral Tanaka nodded. "Well said, Ambassador. It seems we have our course. We'll need to move quickly, coordinate with our new allies, and prepare for a campaign unlike anything in human history." As the meeting adjourned and plans were set in motion, a sense of anticipation filled the station. Humanity, once alone and betrayed, now stood at the head of a growing alliance. They had survived the crucible of invasion and emerged stronger, smarter, and more united than ever. The next phase of the war was about to begin, and with it, the dawn of a new era for the galaxy, an era shaped by human determination, ingenuity, and an unshakable belief in the power of unity in the face of adversity. As ships prepared for departure and diplomats reached out to potential allies, one thing became clear: the stars themselves would bear witness to the rise of humanity as a force for change in the cosmos. Humanity's triumph and new galactic order. The vastness of space, once a barrier to humanity's ambitions, now served as the backdrop for their greatest endeavor. A fleet of ships, human and alien alike, dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the heart of Galactic Council space. At its center, the flagship Unity, a marvel of cooperative engineering that symbolized the new alliance. On its bridge, Admiral Yuki Tanaka stood with her diverse crew. Humans worked alongside former enemies and new allies, their shared purpose overcoming old hatreds and suspicions. Status report. Tanaka commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Captain Jack Harper, now commander of their tactical division, responded promptly. "Council defenses are on high alert, Admiral. But they're in disarray. Looks like the Zorgan defeat hit them harder than we thought." Ambassador Elena Sato nodded, her eyes fixed on the swirling holographic display of the Council homeworld. "Many member species are in open rebellion. Our intelligence suggests the Council's inner circle has retreated to their secure bunker on the surface." "Then that's our target," Tanaka declared. "This ends today." As the fleet engaged the Council's defensive lines, the true strength of the human-led alliance became clear. Ships utilizing a blend of technologies from a dozen species moved with unprecedented coordination. Weapons that had once been turned against Earth now served in its defense. On the planet's surface, chaos reigned. Millennia of resentment and oppression boiled over as subjugated species rose up against their former masters. The once grand corridors of the Council chambers echoed with the sounds of battle. A strike team led by General Obezi Okafor fought their way through the Council's last line of defense. At his side, Zix, the Zorgan defector, used his inside knowledge to bypass security systems. "To think," Zix mused as they advanced, "a cycle ago, I would have given my life to defend this place. Now I give it to tear it down." Okafor clapped a hand on the alien's shoulder. "That's the thing about humans, my friend. We believe in second chances." Meanwhile, in orbit, Dr. Mai Chen coordinated the most ambitious deployment of Project Lazarus yet. The gravity-manipulating device, now refined and amplified, reached out across the planet. Council ships found themselves pulled out of formation, their careful defenses scattered to the solar winds. "Now, Harper," Chen's voice crackled over the comms. "Hit them with everything we've got." Captain Harper's response was a barrage of quantum torpedoes that lit up the sky. The Council's orbital defenses, formidable as they were, crumbled under the assault. On the Council homeworld, High Counselor Jarkax huddled with the remaining loyalists in their underground bunker. The sounds of fighting grew ever closer. "How?" he sputtered, his forearms gesticulating wildly. "How could those primitives have done this?" The bunker doors exploded inward. Through the smoke and debris stepped Ambassador Elena Sato, flanked by human marines and alien allies. "We did this," Elena said, her voice ringing with authority, "because you underestimated us. Because you thought you could sacrifice an entire species for your own gain. Humanity doesn't take kindly to betrayal, Counselor." Jarkax's eyes narrowed. So you've come for revenge, to destroy us as we would have destroyed you. Elena shook her head. No, we've come to bring justice, to create a new order, one based on cooperation and mutual respect, not domination and fear. As Jarkax and the other counselors were taken into custody, a cheer went up across the planet. Species that had lived under the Council's thumb for generations tasted freedom for the first time. In the days that followed, representatives from across the galaxy gathered in the very chambers where the old Council had once plotted humanity's demise. Admiral Tanaka, Ambassador Sato, and leaders from dozens of species worked tirelessly to lay the groundwork for a new galactic alliance. We stand at a crossroads, Elena addressed the assembly, her words broadcast to trillions across the stars. The old order has fallen, but what rises in its place is up to us. Humanity extends its hand in friendship to all peaceful species. Let us build a future where no race need fear extinction, where the strong protect the weak, and where our combined knowledge and skills reach for ever greater heights. The response was overwhelming. Species that had been bitter enemies found common ground. Technology and resources were shared freely. A new era of exploration and cooperation dawned. As for the Zorgans, their defeat at human hands had shattered their empire. Many worlds under their control revolted, inspired by Earth's example. Those Zorgans who renounced their warlike ways were welcomed into the new alliance, their skills and knowledge valued. Supreme Commander Vexlor, captured during the Battle of Ceres, watched these developments from his cell with a mix of bitterness and grudging respect. We should have wiped them out when we had the chance, he muttered to himself. Instead, they have reshaped the very face of the galaxy. Years passed, and the scars of war began to heal. Earth, once a backwater planet unknown to most of the galaxy, became a shining beacon of progress and unity. The Sol system, so fiercely defended, now served as the capital of the new Galactic Alliance. On the 5th anniversary of the victory over the Council, a grand celebration was held. Ships from 100 worlds filled Earth's skies, their crews eager to pay homage to the planet that had changed the course of galactic history. Admiral Tanaka, her uniform adorned with medals from a dozen grateful species, stood on a podium before a vast crowd. Beside her were the heroes of the war, Harper, Okafor, Chen, Sato, and many others. 5 years ago, Tanaka began, her voice carrying across the hushed assembly. We faced extinction, betrayed, alone, and outgunned. But we refused to go quietly into the night. We fought, we innovated, and we reached out to others who had suffered as we had. She paused, her eyes scanning the diverse faces before her, human and alien alike, united in purpose. Today, we celebrate not just our survival, but the birth of a new age. An age of exploration, of cooperation, of pushing the boundaries of what's possible. We have seen what we can achieve when we stand together. And this, my friends, is just the beginning. As cheers erupted and ships in orbit sounded their horns, Elena Sato gazed up at the stars. They no longer seemed cold and distant, but full of promise and potential. Humanity had not only survived its trial by fire, but had emerged as a guiding light for the galaxy. The betrayal that was meant to end them had instead propelled them to heights beyond imagination. And as new challenges and adventures beckoned from the cosmos, one thing was certain: humanity, and the alliance they had forged, would face them together. In the end, it wasn't superior technology or military might that had saved humanity. It was their indomitable spirit, their ability to unite in the face of adversity, and their vision of a better future for all. These qualities, more than anything, had transformed them from a species on the brink of extinction to the architects of a new galactic civilization. As the celebration continued and plans were made for new expeditions to the farthest reaches of space, the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter. The galaxy had entered a new golden age, with humanity leading the way into a future limited only by the bounds of imagination and the spirit of unity that had brought them this far. The end of one chapter had become the beginning of an even greater story, one that would be told and retold across the cosmos for millennia to come.